My name's Darren Thompson from Sunderland. I'm a graphic designer of 20 plus years now. I recently, the last 4 years, came up with the idea of creating portraits out of thousands of screws. Well, I've worked with pixels for quite some time now. If you zoom in on a photograph close enough, just keep zooming in, you'll see thousands of dots. And I just had the idea of replacing those dots or pixels with screws, preferably straight out of the box, rather than using paint. I think it's more impressive to just use 3 or 4 tones to create something lifelike. First piece I produced was Marilyn Monroe, which, to be precise, had 26,304 screws in it. I made that in memory of my late father, who passed away in 2020. And it was a good distraction for me to finally get started with this idea that I'd had for a long time. It's been predominantly famous icons, singers, actors up to now. Head and shoulders at around 5-6 foot high, because you've got to get that sort of dots per inch, that resolution from the screw. So that's the reason why they're so heavy and big. You want to pick the best concept that's going to work in 3 tones. Like I say, you've got the silver, the gold, and the black and the white background, so you're only working with 4 tones. So that usually influences your decision on what photo or image you're going to use. I'm hopeful for commissions, but when I'm trying to explain it to the potential client, this isn't my artist's impression of the subject. It's pixel perfect. Each screw represents a pixel. I've done this one at the same time as I did David Bowie. I was grateful that the Hard Rock Cafe Newcastle exhibited not only David Bowie on stage, but also my piece on Freddie Mercury and also Elvis. So to see those pieces on display in Hard Rock Cafe, which I absolutely love, the whole brand and the whole chain of Hard Rock Cafe, was a thrill. It was actually the original goal to just have one of my pieces on display in there. My ambition is to have Amy on display. I think there's an anniversary coming up soon, or an occasion where hopefully it's appropriate to have her exhibited there. I'm currently grateful to be sponsored by JT Dove Building Materials and Nordstrom Timber, based in Sunderland. And we've agreed on the Beatles next. It's my biggest challenge yet. It's going to be in the region of 20,000+ screws. Measuring about 6 foot wide by 3.5 foot high. And it's going to include all the members of the Beatles and a couple of hints of instruments in the foreground.
This has been his whole thing since he was little. Like, his first words were car. He wanted every ride on. He wanted speed, anything to do with danger, anything that, to do with vehicles. He used to love messing about with his dad's vehicles in the garage and things like that. So it's always been a thing for Charlie. It was inevitable, actually, when you look back on it.
Hi, I'm Charlie Benson. I'm 15 years old and I'm a go-karter from the northeast of England. My aim's to be a Formula 1 driver. So you have kart-ins where you generally start off and then you go to Formula 4, 3, 2 and then hopefully ultimately Formula 1.
We've got him some electric ride-ons. He then progressed through those. They weren't fast enough. We got him into some petrol buggies, went all over the place with them.
I started 8 years old, but not fully competitive.
And his karting career actually started at Warden Law, so at North East Kart Club.
Charlie was about 8 or 9 year old. And going around in a Honda cadet kart. I've done this for a lot of years now, and I actually saw that he had a little bit of a talent there, and also the enthusiasm to hopefully take him further, which is what he's exactly done.
We race at national level, looking to go international with things like UAE for the Formula 4. Right now we're still in the Super 1 Championship. After last year we did another one, UKC, but this year we've done the Super 1 Championship in the Junior Rotax 125 class. When I was about 9 or 10 in 2020, I started a race in the Super 1 Championship where many F1 drivers, for example, Lando Norris, George Russell, Alex Albon, that's where they started.
as a parent, it can be quite worrying at times because motorsport is dangerous. And everyone does say, oh, how can you watch him? And my friends are all like, oh my God. But he takes, you know, measured risk. He's very, very confident. He's very, very sensible about things. I fully trust him when he's on track. I don't obsessively worry about it, you know. I think as a parent, that's your main concern, isn't it? I just want him to do well in everything that he does.
The gold ones are the championship ones, which was, in 2022, I was mini rock champion in Super 1. The other gold one is when I got vice champion in 2023 in the max category.
Really, really proud. He's achieved loads in his karting career.
My mum, my dad, my sister have helped me along the way, funded my racing career so far, alongside the help of my partners.
I think he's now going to go into what is probably the lowest class of the formulas, but Formula 4. But that is where all the big teams start looking for the drivers. In fact, there's a lot of drivers who are in Formula 4 who are actually already signed up to the Formula 1 teams. That's where they scout the drivers. So he's going to be going into that. A lot of pressure. And of course, unfortunately, a lot of money. So hopefully his sponsors do exceptionally well. But I think he's got a very bright future.
We just need to keep on top of it and just give him time and allow him to just grow his craft.
Our invention, the Flavour Blaster, turns an ordinary cocktail into a real experience. The Flavour Blaster is a very simple design. You can change very quickly the scent that you're going to inject inside of the bubbles by simply changing the tank. Whatever flavour you want to put in there is now from our 28 flavours. Then into our bubble mix. My colleague Colin Myers came up with an idea that said fundamentally the power of scent and how to introduce it into the leisure business was his mission. When they pop the bubble, we then get the scent, and the scent prepares us for the drink. And it's just as simple as this. Getting the scent of the drink, we're prepared for the taste. The initial prototype was so well received that we had advance orders, which we needed in order to fund the production of the first 1,000 guns. We also have a device that attaches to as quickly as this to the Flavour Blaster. Again, we would dip it into our patented fluid. And now we have, again, one of our glasses, which is the flamingo glass. Multiple bubbles, great for taking around, because if you lose a bubble on the way to the table, it doesn't matter because you've got 12 more. So the effect is still the same. And the difference, as you see now, is we can pop one bubble. The scent cloud is now attacking my olfactory bulb. Same again. Here, every time you do that, you get a little injection of scent. I mean, it's so Instagrammable with a capital I. And particularly when the things you can do with the Flavour Blaster and create two bubbles that pull together, that kiss, you know, what a Valentine's cocktail that is, or just generally. And you can actually waft the bubble. If you make a big enough bubble, you can waft the bubble and it'll wobble about. And again, that's on cameras, going to friends. We do great glassware that goes with the great effect of the bubbles. We live in a world where people consume new things and things that haven't been done before, things that haven't been seen before. The clever technology that we recognized in this was the power of scent. It's the same sort of thing if you're sitting next to somebody that works Christmas event and you've ordered something and they've ordered the hot chocolate bomb and you get the smell of chocolate wafting up and you go and you get a bit of dessert envy. And that's the power of scent. It automatically gives you 10 seconds, which we know is the optimum fill. That's now nicely charged. You can see it's busy turning, even as we speak, to gas. It frosts the glass too. That's minus 72, but it's trapped behind a safe filter, which is why it's great in the theme parks for kids, because it's safe. We thought it's time that maybe adults had some fun. And this then goes to the buyer. The dry ice is becoming gas. The gas is bringing the scent from the drink. The dry ice will eventually fully disappear as it goes through the drink. Because it's minus 72, it's safely behind the patented filter, which means it's safely in that section here, but the gas is now driving through the drink, releasing the scent but chilling it at the same time. So that's now nicely cooled, and it hasn't finished yet. People say, well, can we drink it now? So you can, but if the longer you leave it, the colder it'll get, until it's fully dissolved. So guys, this is a bit of a useful item, particularly for the bars and retail. This is the treasure chest. So the captain's chest has illumination inside. We've got 4. We have various combinations, but this is 4 already charged drinks from the Jet Chill. It's the best combination of the Flavor Blaster and the new Jet Chill. So they're already charged with their dry ice. We're now going to pour in our drinks in preparation. Simple as that. We will then take it to the table. We would give it some additional scent. Present it to the customer. Please enjoy.
Based inside the Hills Arts Centre in Sunderland, this is Eden Deaf Cafe, one of the first of its kind. It's manned by deaf and hearing impaired staff and is aimed at breaking down barriers between those who can and can't hear.
I had so many ideas, and after many conversations with colleagues about what provisions were missing, what the gaps were in the market for deaf people, we all agreed on setting up the cafe for here for deaf people. We thought, why not? So we took the idea and ran with it. I've been doing some of my own research, and while there are other deaf people working within the hospitality industry and catering, I think we are the first deaf-owned cafe within the region. There is a large deaf population within Sunderland. I'm afraid I can't give you exact numbers or statistics, as there's no official data or infrastructure collecting that data, but yes, there's quite a sizable deaf population within Sunderland. So hopefully the word gets out there to the deaf community and that we are here, and encourage them to come here and support us and see what we're doing at Eden. They'll then see how confident our deaf staff are at managing the cafe and how they deal with the general public, as we have a diverse range of customers that visit us here. Yeah, my name's Ricky. I'm one of the sign language interpreters for Eden. I started my training about 10 years ago now. I started learning at the Sunderland Deaf Centre. I did my level 1 training probably about 10 years ago, and then just recently became a trainee interpreter last year. It was just a hobby that turned into a career. It was never my intention to have it as a career. It was just some. I've got an interest in languages, and I started to learn my level 1 as an interest on an evening, and then it snowballed from there and became a career. So I had experience with coffee shops before. I've set up my own coffee shop 5 years ago in Sunderland, and then I was working with the CEO of a deaf charity in Newton Aycliffe called Deaf Empowering Network. And while working there, we discussed ideas of what we could do to give back to the community. And one of the ideas that we came up with was a coffee shop, and that's how I became involved. It was using two of my strengths, both from setting up a coffee shop and from being an interpreter, and was bridging that gap together.
The obvious question is, should sign language be taught much more widely and from an earlier age?
Oh yes, it's very important. I think there's a lot of exposure to sign language and BSL at the moment. And it's good for hearing people to learn sign language, so it gives them the confidence to interact and speak with deaf people. BSL has been around for a long time now, so learning the language enables people to engage and communicate with the deaf community. That way, hearing people aren't scared or nervous of deaf people when they meet them. It's really exciting to see British Sign Language being added to the GCSE curriculum, possibly next year or the year after, which means children are exposed to the language at an early age, and children are like sponges. They take on and learn the language very quickly. And you know, as they say, children are the future. So learning language now means that they can socialise and interact with the deaf community with ease and confidence and build those connections.
My name's Christian, I'm a business owner here in Sunderland. Behind us here we have the train line, which is one of our main businesses. So yeah, day-to-day jobs is business owner. And my role within the RNLI is crewman. I've been on the crew now for 11 years and done various different call-outs over my time. So we're on call, I'm on call now. So we carry a pager. It goes in hand with day-to-day run of the business. We can get called out at any time. If we get called out, you know, I sort of leave everything here and then go down to the lifeboat station.
So what happens next when you get here? What would happen?
Yeah, so we try to get down in around 10 minutes. We then go into the changing room, get our kit on, as what you can see here. The boat crew will get chosen, so if we're going with the 85, it'll be 4 crew, the D class 3. The helm, the commander of the search and rescue operation, would say to us, this is the crew, this is the incident we're going to. The rest of the crew that isn't going on the incident would come to this section here, get the PPE on, the shore crew PPE, and then prepare us for launching. Yeah, it's been a big part of my life now for a long time. So I always try to fit in sort of volunteering, giving back to the community because they support the business. So the commander is a helm at the lifeboat station. He's in command of the boat. He's in command of sort of the lifeboat, making sure the crew's safe and making sure, most importantly, it's safe for us to go to that job. I started at 13 doing me Duke of Edinburgh there. So that was good, bronze, silver and gold. That was just the shore crew. Enjoyed my time doing that, and then when I become the age that I could join, I joined there and as crew, went through a trainee programme and then now full crew. So this boat we carry 4 crew.
Right, and who would go where? So main driver there, what would this be used for here?
Yeah, so this is sort of, we've got navigation here, radio, so whoever's on the nav, the radar, the radio, they sit in the 2 and 3 seat. The 4th seat's more of a lookout person, keeping their eyes overboard, and that's what they would do in that seat.
And if the casualties on board is replaced, whether it be sort of sat down or if they're unconscious, laying down?
Yeah, so we have got a stretcher as well. We do carry a stretcher with us, right. So there's that as an option. It all depends on sort of the circumstances of the casualty, what the condition of the casualty is like. Most of the crafts what you see in the marina we would tow with this vessel. That's sort of the majority of the jobs that we do here.
Was that based what, engines failing or?
Yeah, a lot of things, engines failing, yeah, you know, they haven't ran the boat during the winter, they come to the nice summer's day and then go out and then, you know, it's poor maintenance over the time. But yeah, you know, it's like a second family here down here. I always know that it's a possibility that I do get called out, so it could happen anytime. You know, I give quite a bit of daytime cover at the lifeboat station, so I do try and provide as much cover as I can. Sometimes we can be out there a long time, but you know, it's what I signed up to do.
I'm so proud. The work what Joseph puts in is either on a golf course 5 days a week, or he's outside practicing his swing, or he's inside practicing putting. He just works so hard.
My name's Joseph and I've came from Sunderland. And I'm 11 years old and I'm going to the Champions of Champions in Ireland.
We head to Ireland on the 20th of July to compete in the Champion of Champions. There's hundreds of juniors from all around the world who compete in these qualifying events just to get to Ireland. Joseph's going there in hope, and we're going to be competitive and we're going to try and win it. Joseph's been playing golf now for 4 years. How it all started was myself and Joseph used to go up our local course at Bolden, I used to buy and sell golf balls. Took Joseph up, and Joseph found a pitch and wedge.
I was just finding golf balls with board, and then I found a pitch and wedge, and I just started hitting it. Then I just fell in love with it.
Well, I first met Joseph when he was looking for some help with his game, with his coaching. He came from a previous club, and we've been together ever since. Well, apart from calling me granddad now, he's pretty impressive. You know, when you meet a young lad who wants to be a golfer, they all have that potential. So it all becomes a thing of attitude and application. So he certainly got that.
We started out on an abandoned football field in Sunderland because I, as a single dad, thought that golf was an expensive sport. We eventually plucked up the courage many months later to go up to Bolton. We asked for his registration. The first competition he played in was his Way Wonders, and Joseph won that. Joseph has competed in many tournaments. Joseph's won the County Under-12 Selection Day. Joseph's won, he was unbeaten, the US Kids Midlands Tour, all through 1 year.
When I grow up, I want to be a golfer, and I want to go on to win the Masters, the US Open, and some other tournaments.
And Joseph has a 12.9 handicap, which is quite outstanding for a young man of his age.
We live in a deprived council estate in Sunderland, where we literally live 5 minutes from Bolton Golf Club, and it's not the bestest area to come from, but we are a community.
We're experiencing quite a boom here at Woodburn Golf Club in terms of juniors starting out and playing the game. No particular reason why, other than an initiative from the golf club and myself.
We have numerous sponsors who are able to be in London 1 week, Scotland the next. We travel all over, we do. Brilliant.
My heroes are Rory McIlroy and Bryson DeChambeau, because they're strong and they can hit it for miles.
My name's Johnny. I run Digifunk Technics. I have done for the last sort of 12, 13 years. I service, customise, repair Technics 1210 and 1200 models. You know, some people think, oh, it's a side hustle, you know, what do you do? I say, no, full-time job, you know, fortunately. It's like a hobby turned sort of, you know, profession. Every single thing, I can't even put a shelf up. Every single thing to do with hands-on, you know, intricate things, I'm hopeless with. So for some reason, I just, something clicked with turntables. When I first started DJing when I was maybe 14, to look at the old Ministry of Sound front covers and to see the Technics turntables stripped down and all its little component parts, just even then I used to think, you know, I just used to, something just inside of me was like, God, it's so amazing, you know, that it just intrigued me. I had a customer last week before, and he'd had a pair of Newmark turntables. He knew he always wanted Technics turntables. He commissioned me to source a pair and customise them. He went for, you know, popular colour orange, and he said, I've waited 15 years, you know, to buy a pair of Technics turntables. A lot of people aspire to own a pair of Technics turntables. Nobody was interested in Technics turntables. People were selling them left, right and centre. You could get a pair of Technics turntables for £250, £350. I got into it by buying up. I was already buying sort of, you know, Pioneer equipment, and I was buying Technics up in pairs from DJs who just didn't want them anymore onto CDJs, and started to sell them as singles to hi-fi, audiophile listeners. And then obviously, you know, Vinyl Revolution, just year on year, is just built and built and built from there. The best way of describing it is they're just so well built. You know, they are absolutely rock solid. When I first started doing the servicing, obviously I started doing buying and selling. When I first started, you know, adding service to the business, I was doing probably, say, 80% servicing, and then it was, we didn't do paint jobs in the first instance. It was purely servicing, and then I explored I saw sort of a couple of other people doing it in the country. There's not many. I think there's only probably 4 that I know of, including myself, that customizes to the extent of full customization of paint colour, tone arms. You can change the buttons and LEDs. There's probably only 4 people that I know of in the country that do it. You probably say maybe 6 years ago, I would say 75% of the business was servicing, 25% was customizing and repainting, and it's probably now maybe 70% of work seems to be custom jobs, custom paint. When you do repaint them, they do look absolutely amazing.
It's something that we've gathered over the years from family, and it's just gradually getting bigger and bigger as the years go on. My name's Bradley Ilsley, and I'm here at the Ilsley's Christmas light display. It started with me nan. It was just a couple of silhouettes on the wall and some icicles. And then as I got older, I took over it and just started getting bigger and bigger. I must have been about 16. You can see the difference every year of pictures and stuff when we do the switch on and that. But we've only done the switch on, this will be the 3rd year now, so it's gradually getting out there. As it was getting popular, people started saying that we should do it for charity and that. And then I looked into it, and this will be our 4th year now doing it for charity. We're raising money for the Healing Toe Children's charity. This will be our 2nd year doing it for them. We've got a QR code and obviously the donation bucket, but any donations are more than welcome. This is currently my mum's house that I do the lights at. Obviously me and my partner live somewhere else, but we're not looking at moving the display because I enjoy doing it here, and this is where everybody knows. It normally takes me about 3 weeks to put it all up and then test it, obviously. But other than that, it's just getting the time to do it. I currently have a part-time job, and my time off from work is what I do to come and do the lights. Just trying to fit it in with school runs and everything else. I've got a son and daughter. They love it. They're always pestering me, asking me to get it out and all that. It all gets stored in the loft. I'm slowly running out of room, but I'll make room. We do get them off eBay. You can collect them off Marketplace. But you've got to be quick to get them because they're just so hard to get hold of now. Most of them do get shipped in from America because they're big over there. We also done the Halloween for charity this year. Yeah, we do a big Halloween display as well. We normally start that around like the 15th of October time. But on the 31st is when we get all the animatronics and that out. It only takes me about 2 days to get it down. It's quicker taking it down than it is putting it up. Oh, it's really nice. The smiles on people's faces, it just lightens everything up. I just love Christmas, so I've got to keep it going.